Welcome to ATM Bros. I'm your host, Josh Reagan, Mr. 2 and 0, and my Irish play against the Ohio State Buckeyes this week. So we're live from Northwest Indiana. So, Sammy boy, okay, a little ATM Bros action here, a little fantasy football for you guys live. Sam, what is your thoughts on the injuries and who to pick up in the waiver wire?
Well, obviously the big injury of the week, and honestly, probably the big injury of the season is Nick Chubb. I mean, that was just terrible to watch. He's the last guy that I thought would be getting hurt. If I had predictions before the season, and he's the last guy I'd want to get hurt because he's such a good running back, and he's just humble about it. But that's a big blow to a lot of teams that have him in fantasy. In our league, it's Teen that had him. But what to do in that situation, as we saw after his injury, Jerome Ford came in and took the spot and had over 100 rushing yards and had honestly a great game. And after that game, the coach came out and said he's going to take that role. And um, I know they did just sign Kareem Hunt, so that's somebody that you could target. But I would be cautious about that because doing research and seeing what the coaches say and everything, Jerome Ford is going to take that Nick Chubb role, and Kareem Hunt will take that receiving back kind of role. I think it'll be about a 60 to 30 split, or a 60 to 40, possibly 70 to 30 split for Jerome Ford getting most of the carries. I don't really think any of them will be super valuable in the long run, but Jerome Ford has more potential to break out than Kareem Hunt, in my opinion. So if you can, I would go get Nick Chubb's backup if Nick Chubb was hurt for you.
Absolutely, like you did there, Sammy boy, to kind of get that running back core straightened out, kind of like what you did last year. A couple trades here and there, um, get you back in that playoff picture after starting 0 and 2 here. So, what are some thoughts with the matchup that you have coming into this week here, to kind of right the ship after that kind of mediocre start there, Sammy boy?
Well, I'm not as worried as people think I should be because if you look at the scores, like last week, I had the third highest scoring for the week, and I would have beat most of the teams. Besides, I just got an unlucky matchup against Austin. So really, and I honestly should have won that too had they hadn't called that Chris Olave touchdown back or I started the right defense. But I'm not too worried about it because I'm scoring the points. I'm just getting bad matchups, and that's also with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow combining for 20 points. Take them out, I'm still above 100 in scoring. So I like my team. They're performing how I want. I've just been a little unlucky. And I look at last year. I ended up 1-4 through the first 5 games, and then go all the way to the championship and lose that due to unfortunate events. But I think I got a turnaround coming up soon. This matchup this week I don't like very much. Colin really dealt with some injuries early on with J.K. Dobbins and had amazing pickups with getting Puka, and I like his Kirk start over Geno Smith and things like that. Bijan really played out well for him so far, and I think his matchups this week are just really good in comparison to mine. Everybody's got a pretty tough matchup. My two running backs playing some strong defenses. Chris Olave is going to be playing Green Bay, who've got Jair Alexander. Couple things here I don't really like. I think I could fall to 0-3, but that still wouldn't worry me too much because I know last year I started 1-4, and I think I'm capable of winning those games back later on.
Absolutely. Uh, you gotta start kind of in that middle pack so you can get the waiver wires. So
Yep.
my start again with Eckler being hurt is a little suspect. That's why my playoff pushes usually do not go well because usually at the beginning of the year you have 5 and 0 or 4 and 0 and stuff like that. Great starts, but like you said, when you start that 0 and 3, you get that waiver wire pick right away. So it's a very key spot. But for Eckler owners like I am, who do you go after In that running back, if you can't get a Ford or a kind of a Hunt and stuff like that in that situation.
There's a couple players that, you know, you could target in trades, but waiver wire purposes, there isn't a lot of availability to get something in place of Eckler. I mean, first of all, how can you even replace Eckler? I mean, he's just such a high producer. It's hard to think
Right.
about. But if you get worried on Eckler, or you think like, I need to start shopping around to see if I can get rid of him, I don't want to deal with his injuries and do what I can do. You shouldn't be fooled and, sell low. I mean, he's still worth, a sell high. And I think you could trade him for two really valuable running backs. Obviously, nobody as good as Eckler. You could pair Eckler with somebody else and trade up to McCaffrey. You could, do things like that. But I think the best trade to do with Eckler, if you want to get rid of him, which honestly I don't recommend. I think he'll come back healthy. He's a really reliable guy. He loves his fantasy owners. He's talked about it before. He says he wants to produce for us. So I would hold him if you could, but if you do want to get rid of him to, keep winning and get the regular season championship, be the best in the regular season, then you could trade him for, two valuable running backs and get the best you can out of that.
Absolutely. So right now I'm looking at starting Williams at that number one running back position there. As you said a little bit with Elkler, just being patient with Williams from Denver because they're easing him back there as well. So keep him, or for people at home in the same situation, keep him or trade him off.
Um, I think you got to keep him. I think, yeah, I think you got to keep him. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep him, see how he does with Hayden and Russell Wilson. But our king of the hill, I mean, Mr. Brian Robinson Jr., a little shake and bake there. Um, surprise, surprise with uh, many men there. But what has been his success so far here in fantasy? Because it's been kind of a surprise, even for fantasy owners like me who drafted him kind of high.
You know, I think he's just been called upon, quite a bit, having 37 carries through two games, almost 20 a game, it seems like, and only three receptions through two games. But I feel like they haven't had, a lot of competition yet. Um, Playing Arizona week one and then Denver week two. Denver's a pretty solid defense. But I know you may not like to hear this since you are a Brian Robinson owner, but people like him, Kyron Williams, Austin's guy who he picked up, everybody that's DeAndre Swift, these people are all performing higher than we expected, and I don't expect all of them to maintain that. Now, I think a couple of them might. I could see Swift or Kyron or maybe even Brian, but I think a lot of them are performing higher than they're going to throughout the rest of the season, and they will fall shorter. I mean, Brian Robinson does have Antonio Gibson on the team too, which Brian Robinson beat him in carries, but who knows what happens on later in the season. So I think guys like him, you might be able to sell high. I know maybe you don't want to do that because he's hot for your team right now, but if you got wins under your belt and you can afford a loss, that's where you start trading because, you trade for guys that are low. You may lose a game here and there, but when they get back hot, your team's way better than it was before. So
Right.
if I have Kyron Williams on my teams, I'm definitely looking to trade him. I think he's going to fall off. Brian Robinson, I might think about trades. I might see what I could shop around with, but otherwise, keep him. He's a start. He does have a tough matchup here with Buffalo, so we'll see how he does against a much better run defense than he's been playing so far. But those are my thoughts on him.
Absolutely. I mean, but Buffalo's been a little unachieving so far as we both dogged this running back in Brees Hall of week 1, and then he went out and balled and made Zach Wilson look like a decent quarterback, like a Rick Grossman kind of game manager that he is. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep right now. He's third. He's in that Jamal Williams last year with Detroit kind of feel where he could have a very breakout year. Gibson has been very how polite. Shit. He's been very shit this year. Okay. Um, with the fumbles, with everything, it feels good not being PG with this show, with all the high school broadcasts that we do. But anyway, there's Sammy Boy. Um, I kind of like your take. Maybe pair him up with Elkler. Maybe get a little Derrick Henry action from Maxwell, uh, or something along those lines. But I've been known in the past to be successful and then destroy my team with trades. So I mean, my receiver position so far, uh, kind of eh, hit or miss. We kind of saw it coming in. Okay. Um, got super lucky last week with Teen. This week, I'm favored once again with Trey, which I haven't beat Trey not one time in our league. So uh, had an amazing season last year, and half my losses was to Trey. So I feel like there's a little revenge factor, and let's kind of go through that matchup to start us off.
So looking at the matchup, we've got. Let's open this up. We've got you. Obviously, we know your team by now. I think you take this one. I think you're going to jump to 3-0. I think you finally get your win under the belt against Trey, unless some crazy luck happens. But AJ Brown playing Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay looks pretty good this year. I actually think their defense is legit. AJ Brown's been struggling a little bit. He might bounce back, but I'm not sure about that yet. Aaron Jones is questionable, might be limited, so that's going to hurt him even more. Ramondre playing the Jets, great defense. Ones you got to worry about are Mike Williams and Justin Herbert playing Minnesota. That terrible defense. I think that's going to be a high-scoring game, and those guys are going to put up some
Right.
points. But looking at your lineup, everything's honestly great for you. You got Mahomes playing Chicago. That could be a 30-point game, 30, 40-point game. It'll be pretty insane. Javonte playing Miami. That'll be a good game for you. Brian Robinson playing Buffalo. Like I said, it might be hard, but you made a good point. Buffalo hasn't been quite the run stopper, but I don't know. I think you take this one, and just like the projection says, about by 6, 7 points.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how Debo goes again. If he goes on that switch Army knife, that's the X factor for us. Switching defenses to the Jaguars from the Colts is a big move, especially who they're playing this week. Kickers, uh, I was talking about Myers last week being very reliable. Got me almost negative points last week. So his ass is shipped in the waiver wire. So anyway, like you said, I think I take it 6, and then I get the revenge factor that I am looking for. Okay. So, Sammy Boy, who's next on our list?
We'll go to, in my opinion, the most anticipated matchup. We've got Owen versus Austin. I'm real excited for this. Austin's made some trades here and there, and he's developed himself probably considered the best team in the league. Especially if Jonathan Taylor comes out of the IR, pups, but and comes back to play. I think Austin's great. He should have lost last week. I hope he's listening because that really was a stupid win, but it's okay. We're past it. He's 1-1. I'm 0-2. I do think, looking at his matchup, he's got McCaffrey playing the Giants tonight. I like that matchup. The Giants have been really lackluster. I think he's going to put up some points. Kyron Williams playing Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's going to have a bounce back. I've been saying this the last 2 weeks, and I've been wrong, but I think finally, Joe Burrows started the last year 0-2, maybe even the year before that. I don't quite remember, but, Joe Burrow is known for slow starts. I know he's dealing with injuries, but that whole Bengals team is known for slow starts. I think they're going to bounce back. It's at Cincinnati. Kyron Williams, I think, won't do as good as he's been doing. I think he'll finally fall off. Mike Evans will for sure not hit what he hit last week. So you know what? I think I'm going to change this. You know what? No, I'm going to stick with Austin because Saquon is out for Owen. That's a huge blow to his team. Justin Jefferson, obviously, is going to put up a massive amount of points against the Chargers, but that won't make up quite for the deficit of Saquon Barkley because Josh Jacobs is playing Pittsburgh, and he's not been very good lately. -2 rushing yards in a game last week. That's a really hard stat to get. I mean, getting -2 rushing yards as an NFL running back. So I don't know. I think if Saquon was healthy and he could play him, and maybe even if Alvin Kamara was back, Owen could take this one. But Austin will take this one this week, and then he'll start losing. I know it.
Yeah, so I like everything you said, Sammy boy, but one thing that I did not like was that Austin's the best team in the league when I'm 2-0 and I'm number 1 in playoff projections right now. But anyway, okay, I think Austin the sheriff, okay, the the cop, I think he takes this big time. Okay. With Saquon being hurt, I think Austin wins by 15 and waste almost all of his points on Owen. And then the following week, Austin loses again.
I agree. Going on to the next matchup, we got Adam Teen versus Adam Neiman. Battle of the Adams here, and sadly, Teen is the one that was cursed with the Nick Chubb injury. So that's a huge blow to his season. He's 0-2, off to a bad start like me. And having that happen after going 0-2, it's almost like, maybe you give up. I don't know. It's just unlucky. He also traded for Alexander Madison 2 days before Cam Akers got traded to Minnesota. So that hurts Alexander Madison's role. I just think Teen's just having a really unlucky year. And I feel bad for him because I always wish the best for Teen, hoping he does good. He's one of my favorite teams in the league because besides you and Teen and a couple other people, I hope everybody loses. I'm competitive, but Teen's a guy I root for. But he's going to take an L this week solely because of his unluckiness. He's playing Adam, and Adam's got a really, really good matchup. He's got Lamar Jackson playing the Colts, who do look good, but Lamar Jackson looks better. He's got Tony Pollard playing Arizona. He's got Zach Moss, the starting running back, who just went off last week. Jalen Waddle is questionable with a concussion. I'm not sure what the update on that is, but I don't think Adam needs him. Travis Kelce's playing Chicago. I just don't think it's going to be a very close one this time. And